taught Hopkins how to fight against lefties. And Bobby, tonight he probably hopes he wasn't that good of a teacher.
You know, Steve, regardless of how good or bad Jackson was as a teacher, if Hopkins has the tools and he's ready and able mentally and physically, he'll win the fight. Conversely, if he doesn't have what it takes to beat a guy like John David Jackson, even if he was taught perfectly, he won't be able to get the job done. This fight is going to be about the will to win and being able to put your style and your tools together well.
All right, Bobby, how about this? Bernard Hopkins, the fighter, formerly dressed as the executioner. Remember when Hopkins used to enter the ring in his sinister-looking getup? These are days gone by, complete with his executioner mask. Looked like a runaway from a Halloween costume party.
I think he's missing a bet. Now is when he should come in with a sling blade. It's the year of the sling blade. Forget axes and sides and all that. And he decided to show his face, is what he said. He said, hey, the money's when you show your face, though.
The kinder, gentler Bernard Hopkins, at least as far as his pre-fight presentation is concerned. He shed the costume, but retained the nickname. Still the executioner. All right, let's size him up as we go to the tail of the tape. Very close on paper. Only 1 year separates the two in age. Slight height advantage for the champion Hopkins, both under the 160-pound weight limit, and the reach is all even. And the IBF rules for this championship fight, they'll score under the 10-point must system, 3 scoring judges. There's no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. The bell cannot save a fighter in any round. If an accidental foul occurs before the end of the 6th round, the fight is declared a no decision. If it happens after the end of the 6th, they refer to the scorecards. Incomplete rounds not scored. So here at the Shreveport Municipal Memorial Auditorium in Shreveport, Louisiana, closing in on our main event, the IBF Middleweight Championship featuring Bernard Hopkins and John David Jackson, set for the official introductions. We go to our ring announcer, once again filling in for the ailing Jimmy Lennon Jr., who's out with a virus. Here's James Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Shreveport Municipal Memorial Auditorium in Shreveport, Louisiana. For this, the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Don King Productions and St. Ides Gold Premium Beer. This bout is scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing and is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, President Robert Lee, Supervisor Robert Lee Jr., along with the Louisiana State Boxing and Wrestling Commission, Chairman Mike Cusimano, the Vice Chairman Leonard Miller, Commissioner Al Buddy Embanato, the physician at ringside, Dr. Carolyn Burton, the timekeeper, Russell Knockin. Introducing the judges for this bout, Elmo Adolph, Oscar Bryan, and Nelson Vasquez. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and boxing fans joining us around the world, it's showtime! Winning the IBF Middleweight Championship of the World, introducing your referee in charge, Johnny Femia Jr. Presenting to you first, the challenger. In the blue corner, he enters the ring wearing gold trunks and is fighting out of Los Angeles, California. He weighed in at 156 pounds. His record includes 36 wins, 2 losses, with 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome tonight's challenger and the former WBO junior middleweight and WBA middleweight champion of the world, now ranked #1 middleweight contender by the IBF, presenting John David Jackson. And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent across the ring is the defending champion, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks and hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at a ready 156 1/2 pounds. He enters the ring with a record of 30 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, making his 4th defense of his title, please welcome the IBF Middleweight Champion of the World, Bernard, the Executioner, Hopkins.
John Davis, in clear the ring. Okay, guys, come on. John Davis.
Gentlemen, tonight we're fighting for the IBF Middleweight Championship of the World. I want a clean fight. No monkey shine, no monkey business. The rules are no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. There is a mandatory 8 count. I want you to protect yourself at all times. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Touch gloves and come out and sound the bell. Here we go.
Johnny Femia of New Orleans, Louisiana. Final instructions. They're checking out the waist lines. IBF middleweight champ Bernard Hopkins inactive 273 days, or about 9 months, due to promotional problems. He left Butch Lewis for Dan Goosen and America Presents, so he feels better about everything from the category just in case. 5-0 with 5 knockouts against Southpaws. Jackson, the #1 contender, despite losing his last fight, which he calls a blessing in disguise, because he now says Hopkins thinks he's slipping, perhaps false confidence for Hopkins. And a very interested spectator, the WBA middleweight champion in the crowd, William Joppy, very aggressive fighter out of Rockville, Maryland, in need of a big-name opponent, but tough to find at 160. He has to unify the title, perhaps. He's a future opponent here. Here we go. Round 1, scheduled for 12 for the IBF middleweight championship. Bernard Hopkins, the champion, in the black trunks with the gold trim. John David Jackson in the all-gold trunks, the challenger.
You know, both of these fighters were so light at the weigh-in that they're just about junior middle or super welter, call it what you like. That's 154. Just a couple of pounds over that. They could be in any division.
That's a lot of aggression just then. That last little rhubarb there was kind of a gutter kind of fighting.
Ooh. Jackson almost slipped after that wild punch. I've noticed that Hopkins has difficulty with opponents that move around a lot. Jackson likes to frustrate opponents with lots of movement, historically. Meanwhile, Jackson has trouble with busy fighters, and Hopkins told us the key tonight is pressure. So we've got some interesting ingredients going into this one.
Well, right now, I think it's a cat and mouse game. It's a serious chess match going on. They know each other from a long time ago, haven't sparred with each other for a lot of years, a lot of changes probably made, and they both still think they know one another, but two different fighters.
Jackson has a very wide stance. Bobby, take a look at how wide it is between those two.
Yeah, he likes to rock and roll, in and out, back and forth, move out of the way. Not a big puncher, crisp, sharp counter puncher, likes to be fast.
There was quite a bit of trash talking between these two guys in the days leading up to this fight. Jackson saying the key is everything off the jab. Work the right hook, use the angles. He said he won't run. He said if he can get past the first 4 rounds, this is Jackson, that is important. That's when Hopkins is most dangerous.
Too much respect being shown by both guys. Both guys doing a lot of thinking and no throwing. First boos heard from the crowd.
Hopkins said this will be a technical fight, a chess match, if you will.
Well, it better be better than this, because they're not touching each other.
They literally look like they don't want to let the glove touch either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're in there mixing it up.
Finally, a little contact there. The crowd is booing, obviously, in the background, getting on these two fighters. They want more action.
Have you ever seen a fight where everything's color coordinated, including the gloves? Both guys got yellow and black gloves, and they got yellow and black trunks on.
Yes, this main event dedicated, as I mentioned, to Mr. Blackwell.
Mr. Blackwell's in evidence here. Certainly nothing else is in evidence. There you go.
Now, right now, John David Jackson has landed a few more shots. Nothing really significant, but I think maybe a total of 5 blows have been landed, and he's maybe got 4 of them.
Well, Hopkins said to us, hey, if he wants to make it a cat and mouse game, I can box. I don't look for him to slug it out. I'm not going to look for one big shot. He is too elusive. Talking about the man in gold, John David Jackson, a part-time model and actor.
Well, a fight distinguished by lack of action.
Waiting a little too long. Throw down. Look at out there for me. Throw down. We can put a little pressure on him. Go back and wait for him, okay? Pick it up a little bit this round. All right, baby? It's been cool. Good. It's been cool. Give me. That's enough. That's enough. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. A little too tight. A little too tight. When you go to him, take it to him with the stutter jab, okay?
You gonna see what he's gonna do. Don't let him be thinking too long. Keep that jab on him. He can keep the jab at it. And double and triple jab up on him. You're gonna might try to counter punch off you. So double and triple jab up. Then come the left hand behind. Okay, buddy?
Bernard Hopkins told us yesterday, and I talked about the trash talking, that John David Jackson can stink the place out. And then John David Jackson came back saying he's not as good as Jorge Castro. He's not as tough as Castro. He's not a worthy champion. Talking about Hopkins, does nothing well. He said, we were friends until he started ducking me. So things getting very personal between these two. Let's see if the action heats up.
I was going to say, would that they could transfer that into the ring and translate it into action.
When you really think about it, fellas, how could a fight not be personal?
No, hold it in.
How could a fight not be personal to a certain degree? Sure, it's business, but God, it's got to be personal.
It's like those executioners that say, this is nothing personal, but I'm taking your life. I think it's
But
personal.
isn't a rule of thumb not to fight angry? Doesn't that take you out of your game plan? Tyson, a guy who professes
Controlled anger is okay, but it has to be controlled. Okay. If you fight angry and you let the anger get the better of you, could take you out of your game plan. You could, you know, throw all your punches in an array of different ways that are not good.
Light him up. Light him up.
Trying to take a man's head off.
Break!
What a bark that was from John Fimia. He barked out the break. I think he scared both fighters.
1 minute gone by in round two. Round one totally uneventful. Holding and hitting here by John David Jackson, actually lifting Hopkins off the canvas with those uppercuts.
Hopkins was told in the corner, step it up, start working. And,
Work your way out. Get some hands free.
Now it's a clinch festival.
Stop punching, stop punching.
Yeah.
Stop punching.
And the fans continue to voice their displeasure here in Shreveport. Hopkins telling us he's going to fight as if he's the challenger, not the champion, but somebody has to take the initiative here.
The referee's got to take control of this fight. This is going to turn into a real wrestling match. There's going to be elbows, shoulders, and heads on the inside. He's got to take control.
Wild swing and a miss. Overhand right attempt there by Bernard Hopkins.
Hopkins very cool when we asked him yesterday, was he used to left-handers? He said, I knocked every one of them out.
Yeah, he said he was 5-0 with 5 knockouts against lefties, including his last fight of '96 against Joe the Hammer Lipsy in the 4th round.
That was an impressive knockout, too. Lipsy, strong puncher with both hands, came to fight and was winning early, but then got caught. And when he got caught, the executioner did finish him off.
Jackson said he trained 12 weeks for this fight. Hopkins told us he's in great condition, trained up at Big Bear, altitude about 7,000 feet. He said he not only wants to win, but do it convincingly. But so far, we are not seeing that. Probably where he dropped all that weight up there. He's only about 156, both coming in under the 160 limit.
This fight, they've done nothing but grab each other and fight very little. I find this very hard to judge. The first one I thought Hopkins, Jackson had punched more. I don't know where to go here except even.
Well, in one of the more compelling fights of 1994, John David Jackson battled Argentinian Jorge Castro. We mentioned it before, Ferdy, in Monterrey, Mexico, in a nonstop, furious affair. Jackson had the upper hand for 8 rounds, when in round 9, Jackson, after unleashing a wicked combination, watch what happens here. Castro will miss with the right and then land cleanly with a winging left hook. Boom. Right to the head. Jackson walked right into it.
And he bounced his head off. Watch how he bounced his head off the canvas. Both, you see?
That's like getting hit twice.
And that is like getting hit with a baseball bat after he went down.
And some ringside observers thought it could have been stopped earlier in Jackson's favor.
We were in those.
Including us.
Yes.
Including us. We were screaming, what do you want to do, kill this guy? And all of a sudden he comes up with a punch.
Well, he's 3-1 since the dramatic loss, Ferdy, with that 10-round decision over James Green, Guy Stanford, and Augustine Renteria, and the split decision loss to Abdul Ramadan.
Well, Hopkins better get his game plan going if he has got a game plan, because so far he's shown nothing. Nothing except they grab each other.
Round 3 for the IBF Middleweight Championship. Not much has happened. Look out! Jackson actually caught Hopkins on his way down.
Yeah.
Big smile on the face of Hopkins.
Yeah, it was nice. He could have let him drop.
Looking more like WWF.
I'll tell you what, yeah.
Hopkins still with a big smile. Hopkins now going in on the attack. Saw a little opening there, but couldn't take advantage.
You know, John David Jackson's legs just came out from under him. I don't really think he was that hurt, but he just went back and his knees buckled, and he just couldn't seem to get his balance. I really don't think he was hurt.
I don't think he was hurt at all.
I'm not even sure he was hit.
On the other hand, I wonder what's wrong with his legs. Look, he did it again. See, his leg slipped it under him again.
Stop punching. Stop punching, guys. Back up, back up. When I say break, take a step back.
This may be one of those old punch and grab kind of fights. There it is. I mean, as soon as he gets in close, it's punch and grab.
Back up.
John David Jackson, a natural lefty who calls himself ambidextrous. He can switch.
There you go, John.
He did that against Castro early on. He feels that his power is in his right hand, although he's a southpaw.
See, the referee's got to take charge. He's got to break this up.
Look at this, huh?
He cannot allow this to continue.
No, he said to him, John, let him go, let him go. He must get between them.
Johnny Femia finally splitting them apart. And this has basically been a dance-a-thon here and a clinch fest.
Yeah, clutch-a-thon.
Yes. Little arrogant smile on the face of Bernard Hopkins.
I don't understand why.
Now, right now, Hopkins is landing a little bit more effectively with the right hand, but as soon as he gets close enough, Jackson ties him up.
They're both holding.
Hopkins normally an adaptable type fighter, likes to go to the body, an in-fighter. He's got an attitude. Has difficulty, as mentioned, with guys who move around a lot, and that certainly is the style of Jackson.
But Jackson has the kind of style, he doesn't mind boring you to death. If he thinks that's what's going to get the job done, he will do that.
Right. He doesn't go in looking for the knockout. A boxer technician, very slow to attack, defensive. Tries to put his combinations together and frustrate his opponents.
Well, what he has to do is he has to do the best with what he has. He's not a big banger. He's not a big, strong, one-punch knockout artist. If he can move, confuse you with his southpaw style as well as his speed and unusual angles, that's what he's supposed to do.
Two or three times, the referee has said, stop holding. Now, he's pointing at Jackson and really saying it because he's the one that's doing the holding. See, as soon as he gets in, he grabs it.
Now, Jackson does have that awkward jab, sometimes leaves himself open after the jab. We'll see if Hopkins can take advantage later.
He's double up, going to the body. He's double up, going to the body. Look your tongue out from me. Double up, going to the body, baby. Follow me in the water, son. Go ahead.
You know that. I know. Both of y'all are holding, all right? Lay off the holding, all right?
Let's take a look at that awkward lift that reminded us of wrestling circles. You know, here, Jackson could have let him drop, and see right there, let him drop? No, he held him. So it's kind of nice, gentlemanly thing to do.
That was a lovely dip.
It was. It was kind of an orchestrated dance there. You know what it is. It's getting sickening here because there's no fighting. By the way, I'd be remiss before the action starts if we don't wish, I know you did, we want to wish Jimmy Lennon to get well. I'm kind of mad at him because he didn't call me for a house call. I'd have gone all the way to California to see him.
Your bedside manner alone would have been...
all he had to do was call me. Jimmy's a friend.
All right, round 4. I thought this was a contact sport, but not here between these two guys, Hopkins and Jackson so far. Awkward fight.
One of my partners at ringside here, Henny Youngman.
Henny didn't have a bad left hook, by the way.
I wouldn't doubt it.
All right, round 4 continues. This for the IBF middleweight championship. The champion, Bernard Hopkins, in the black trunks. The challenger, John David Jackson, in the gold.
Now, both fighters talked about going to the body. Hopkins wanted to slow Jackson down by going to his body, and conversely, Jackson said the same thing. I want to take him out of his game plan. No one's gone to his body. I'll hit him there and slow him down. But neither are really doing that very well.
Hopkins 30 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw with 23 KOs. Jackson 36-2 with 19 knockouts. He's 8-1 in title fights. Straight right hand there by Bernard Hopkins.
Well, that's the first kind of good punch that landed.
Yeah, that's probably the best punch landed so far.
Because his head went back, and it looked effective.
Oh, Jackson almost walked in. What did I say before? When he lets loose with a jab, he lets himself open. He's wobbled. A straight right, a combination by Hopkins. Hopkins now trying to pull it on.
Tell you what, his strength factor here is going to be leaning heavily toward Hopkins' favor. He landed a couple of clean shots on John David Jackson. Jackson's got to move, and he's got to counter. He cannot allow Hopkins to just run in.
And Hopkins now working the body. Hopkins does have power and speed.
Jackson looks lackadaisical. His face looks lackadaisical, and his legs look weak. I mean, he doesn't look like he's fighting with strength. Look at his face. He's got a mass of indifference almost.
Many wondering how you lose your last fight and still retain your #1 ranking, and that's the case with John David Jackson.
You know, John David Jackson said that he got knocked down the first round, he got up, he survived. Second round, he took off just to get his head clear and won the last 8, and even his opponent said you won the fight. So maybe somebody in the ratings committee.
Oh, what a shot.
What a beautiful right hand.
Now that's a shot. Now David is in trouble. John David is in trouble.
And down he goes, but the referee, Johnny Femi, is saying it was a push or a slip. So it is not a knockdown, although Jackson has been staggered.
He is wobbly. He is wobbly. He's not sure of himself.
You know, we talked about the Castro fight. He came out and he fought Castro as opposed to boxing moving, and as Bernard would say, stink the place out. Listen, that's...
Right hand by Bernard Hopkins, and Jackson is in trouble.
But that's the problem. Jackson started to fight with Castro, and that's what happened. And here's what's happened here. He cannot fight. He's got to box.
See, he did a wrestling move there. He jumped up to be funny, and it's not funny at all. And it could have cost him a point. He's lucky it didn't.
Jackson on very wobbly legs as the bell sounds.
Big round for Hopkins. Big. Could have blown it by that stupid comedy.
What happened to the sponge? What a sponge, that guy. Hey, hold this up here. Don't worry, Jake. Don't worry. Don't panic. You got a little good shot. You can't back from it. You understand what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. They're going to sponge up there.
Let's take a look at how he got in trouble to begin with. Jackson's fighting him and not really being effective. But he gets hit. See that right hand? Now watch what happens to him later in the round. Bobby.
Well, we'll take a look. Hopkins is trying to unload with that right hand. You'll watch it connect right there. And you can see the legs come out from Jackson. He's a little unsteady there. That right hand is finding its mark, and he's got to neutralize the right hand. And the way he needs to do that is to slip outside it, slip under it, or use his own counter hook.
And those tactics unnecessary by Hopkins at the end. Hopkins connecting with a series of straight rights, chasing Jackson around the ring at 1:15 into the last round, round 4. Another at 2:10 and a big right at 2:40 that staggered Jackson. Round 5 now.
And for the first time in this fight, I have Hopkins ahead 39-38. What do you have, Bobby?
I have it 39-37. I had the first round for Jackson and the next 3 for Hopkins. I thought it was a little more effective in the second round, and certainly in the last 2 with that right hand, he's been getting home much cleaner. There again, you see it.
Hopkins applying the pressure again, pressing the attack. Combination. He landed with the straight right.
Well, we're past round 4. This is where Jackson thinks he could take over and start to implement his boxing and be effective. This is where we need to see him make his move.
Oh, a smacking straight right hand by Hopkins. Again, Jackson walking right into it.
Yeah, he doesn't look too enthusiastic. Things don't look too great for Jackson right now. He looks like he's fighting a falling apart fight, a fight in retreat, a defeated fight.
Hopkins with all kinds of confidence right now, very much in command the last couple of rounds after a very lackluster start by both men. Jackson waving it up saying, I'm okay, which usually means that he may be hurt.
Well, with his legs so wide, as Ferdy pointed out earlier, he doesn't maintain really good balance. And sometimes when he leans back, he almost falls over because the legs are so wide.
After that wild miss, Bobby, by Hopkins, a clash of heads.
You know, Bobby, that's why I was pointing it out to you at the beginning. How could this guy, with his legs that big, that wide apart, think he's going to have motion to get away when he wants to? He can't. They're too far apart. And even coming forward with him, he's so far off balance.
Hopkins doesn't seem to be having any problem with the southpaw style here of John David Jackson. Oh, what a vicious right cross to the face of Jackson by Hopkins. Big punch.
Now, Hopkins talked about not only cleaning up the middleweights, but possibly jockeying back and forth between the super middles. Well, tonight he was so light he could go down to the junior middles as well.
Sure. Oh, another thumping straight right hand to the jaw by Bernard Hopkins.
And now Hopkins is grabbing in earnest. When he gets in trouble, he just grabs and holds on.
That right is finding a home by Hopkins.
I'm sorry, I just made a mistake. Jackson is the one that's holding on, and not Hopkins. Hopkins is the one that's doing the pounding in the black trunks. Misspoke there.
30 seconds remaining in round number 5. Another big round for Bernard Hopkins, the executioner, after a very listless start.
He looks like he's having fun now.
Well, he was smiling earlier. Maybe he knew something.
Hopkins looks like he's having fun.
And the fact that Jackson is not a big puncher, he needs to put together some combinations. He needs to get going.
And Hopkins continues to smile as he heads back to the corner.
Why not? He won the round good.
Close up. See, go with the loop. I want to make him duck the loop. I want to duck it. Don't worry about hitting it. Duck it. Make him duck it. Make him duck it. He's doing all right. Just stand a little too far away. Take the distance. I want you to take the distance with the hands. 3, 4 punches. You go 1 or 2 punches, not enough.
Go ahead, baby.
Not enough for him off punch. Just take a little bit off the lead punch. Off the lead punch to take off.
You know, watch that wide stance that Jackson has. He just keeps his feet so far apart most of the time that when he goes to lean back or either way, he's off balance. There you saw he leaned into the ropes. He just doesn't have any balance. And when he bends backward, all his weight is on one side of his body. He can't jockey or shift back and forth. You know, it's terrible.
I just don't see how a guy can fight like that and maintain mobility, and when he gets hit, he has nowhere to go. He's way apart. He has no base, no foundation.
The bell for round 6, very experienced corner for Hopkins. Bowie Fisher, Al Mitchell, the 96 U.S. Olympic boxing coach, who had gold medal winner David Reed, the lone U.S. gold medal man.
For the first time, they tangled feet there, as we repeat over and over again, happens with left hand. I mean, their feet just get together. Their lead foot is on top of one or the other.
Jackson hasn't won a round perhaps since the first, and really hasn't scored cleanly on Hopkins all night. The last 2-3 rounds, all Bernard Hopkins. And he has landed some wicked blows to the face and body of Jackson.
That's what Jackson needs to do. Just what he did there. He let Hopkins throw some punches, slipped one, blocked one, and fired back with 2 or 3. But he has to be more effective, and he has to get Hopkins' respect.
Boy, that was no punch at all. I mean, that was no punch at all.
Telegraphed at a very soft left hook that was easily guarded by Hopkins.
Had it landed, would have not had any effect.
That was a bona fide slap.
That was a pillow if ever there was.
Well, I think some of the punishment dished out by Hopkins has taken a lot of steam out of John David Jackson here, obviously.
He's become tentative. He doesn't want to punch real hard, thinking he's going to get countered real hard.
Oh, a good left hook there by Jackson out of nowhere, but Hopkins showing the chin. Pretty good exchange there that Jackson got the better of. A rarity. Halfway point of round 6.
He needs to use his speed to counter and counter sharp. In between Hopkins' big shots, he needs to counter.
Second warning for holding against the challenger Jackson by Johnny Femia. We approach the final minute of round 6 for the IBF middleweight title. Again, charging in is the champion, Bernard Hopkins. Look out, Jackson doubled over through the rope. And you heard the instructions not to hit him when he turns around. And then,
that right hand was solid, fellas.
Yeah.
Bernard Hopkins with a vicious right. Down goes Jackson. Scrambling, sprawling to the canvas.
2, 6, 7.
He went from 2 to 6.
The new math.
He had the new math.
30 seconds to go in round 6. Can Jackson survive the round?
I don't think he's in trouble. But he was.
I don't think he was in trouble. He was off balance, but he got caught. The initial shot was a little bit of a big shot.
Still on wobbly legs. Now he turns him around. Hopkins spinning Jackson around. Boy, John David Jackson looks
just aren't under him. I mean, his legs just aren't under him.
Very wobbly.
He just seems to be trying to get out of the way at all costs to the point he's turning tail and hitting almost. It's not good.
Yeah, the future does not seem bright for John Jackson.
You can't take your eye off him, buddy. You can't take that off him. You're going the wrong way. You keep going to him. Right there. Sit right there. Fuck it. You're going the wrong way on him, buddy. You're going the wrong way on him. You got to go to your left. I mean, your right. Go to your right. Don't go to your left. Go to your left too much.
You see,
let's take a look.
See the body shots there, and it's, you know, it's a kind of a good shot, but he's off balance. He hit him in the body, and therefore it's a knockdown.
Yeah, well, I think it was a legitimate knockdown, but before that, he'd gotten powdered pretty good. He was kind of slipping and sliding.
See his foot just comes, see his back left foot just slipped up out from under him. Not a clean knockdown, but
Not
he
bad.
hit him anyway.
Yeah, and that wide stance is going to cost this guy all through this fight. He's just one of the factors in the fight. He's not going to teach him how to do different now.
We've reached the halfway point. And we hit round 7 and round 6 at 2:15. Jackson down from a series of punches set up by a solid right. He went tumbling over to the canvas.
We're halfway through, and it's almost a point of no return for John David Jackson. I have a 59-54 with that extra point for knockdown. It's a five-point fight right now. It's just getting to be a lot.
And Jackson, not exactly known as a knockout puncher. 36-2 with 19 knockouts.
He needs to time Bernard Hopkins on the way in. See that loop? That loop's too slow.
Oh, look, yeah, he got wobbled again, but that's because he stepped on his foot. He's tangled. But that is a very slapping shot by John David Jackson. And then, Bobby and Freddie, on top of that, he leaves himself open. And we'll see if he pays for it.
He's got problems. He's not only got him, the Hopkins to worry about. He's got to keep arguing with the referee. I'm not holding him. He's holding me. He keeps saying to him, it's not me, it's him.
Put them on straight.
The clinching continues here now as they hang on.
This is what we call awkward in fighting.
Yes.
Tie one hand up, throw a little bit with the other hand, switch off and tie another hand up, and smack around a little bit. Nothing real effective happening here on the inside.
Let him up, Bernard. Let him up.
Now, this is bordering on what we see over and over again. Styles don't make the fight. This style is not pleasing to watch. One style is not fitting the other. One is survival, and the other guy's going all out for knockout.
There's the jab by John David Jackson trying to set up the left. It was flush on the face.
Yeah, but see, it wasn't
there.
Right, it wasn't a straight. It was a roundhouse. A southpaw is not supposed to throw a left hook. He's supposed to throw a right hook from his right hand.
And that gets Hopkins going. Here's the whole arsenal. A barrage by Bernard Hopkins to the body and head of Jackson in Jackson's corner. And the referee, Femia, looking on very closely here. Oh, look out. Oh,
That's a big right hand.
Right hand by Bernard Hopkins, and Jackson going through the ropes. And he continues to hit him. And that's it. It's over. Johnny Femia Jr. finally steps in and ends it, and Jackson does not know where he is.
He just was not defending himself. He didn't go down the ropes, actually hurt him. He was better off going down, taking a knee, getting some rest, clearing his head, and getting back in the game, but he just didn't do what he had to do.
Well, it shows he wasn't there. His mind wasn't there. He was not conscious, and again, they did the right thing. He has no complaint about that. I think what Bobby just pointed out, the rope actually was his enemy, because he should have gone down. He couldn't. I don't think it would have made any difference if he got up, Bobby. He was gone.
And I think he thought that the referee was going to come in a moment earlier, and so he let his guard down, which of course is the first mistake, and Hopkins really went in after him after that.
This is one of those nights where you expect a great fight, can't wait for it to happen, and then it doesn't happen. And there was a complete domination of Hopkins to Jackson. Jackson didn't have any idea how to fight him. His stance was wrong. He didn't know how to deliver the punch.
I was expecting the John David Jackson that showed up for the Castro fight, because he was fighting Castro well, beating him from pillar to post. And not that I expect him to do that to Hopkins, but I expected that type of style. In-out combination, step back and forth, because he fought a great fight against Castro, even though he stood in and punched with him where he shouldn't have. With Hopkins, I knew he wouldn't, but expected a little more from him.
Well, all expectations are not always met in boxing. This is one of those nights we expected it. It didn't happen.
So Bernard Hopkins makes his 4th successful defense of the title.
Bernard Hopkins is here, the strength big fact. You see him land a couple of big shots, then he works to the body. Big right hand there to the body, and again, up top, he rips it up. The left hand, the right hand, top of the head, side of the head. Bernard Hopkins kept the pressure on here, kept the punches, didn't load up with them, made sure they landed. And then you'll see John David Jackson does something on the ropes here that's awkward. He sits on it, and then comes almost through the ropes, doesn't really go down right there, doesn't touch.
You see the ref?
The referee started to step in between them, and he got hit clean while the ref was there.
All right, from overhead, Bobby.
Yeah, here you see him, he's sitting on the, I think it's the bottom rope, or second to bottom rope. And now when he stands up, I think he thinks it's a knockdown. He drops his hands and he gets hit with 2 or 3 clean shots. And then the referee just completely stops the fight. I think there was some misunderstanding there on John David Jackson's part. And the referee was a little shaky for a minute.
Yes.
Okay, we all... You said you were going to take him, and you did from the very beginning.
Thanks, Doc. I'd like to give all praises be to Allah, bear witness there's no God but Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. I'd like to thank my mother, Shirley, my father, Bernard Hopkins Sr. He couldn't make it today, Doc. And I'm glad to be here on Showtime again and working with Don King and getting ready for maybe a unification. I hope so, Doc, because, you know, everybody wearing belts now. And everybody confused who the real champion is in all weight classes.
But that makes it all the more interesting because a guy like this can put all those rivalries together. You know, this is the end of another rivalry. You had a rivalry with this guy dating back to the Philadelphia, to the gyms. I think he put an answer to that, didn't you?
Yes, he did. Well, me and John David Jackson, I said it before, and I ain't hold no punches back, and said that John David Jackson taught me how to fight southpaws. I was 8-0 when I fought John when he was at top of his game at junior middleweight. I love him. I give him all respects. And you know what? It's just passing the torch down. If I need a southpaw, you know who I'm going to call? I'm going to call John David Jackson because he taught me. And he took me to school for a while. I said, I can't hit this guy. And I stuck with it. And John, I give you all the praises, man. You helped me. And you did a good job helping me get ready. Well, not training for Lipsy, but that southpaw stand was dangerous, man. And I paid a good price for it early in my career.
Would you say you buried the hatchet here tonight?
Well, it wasn't ever no grudge and everything. But if you want to say bury the hatchet, I think that it comes a point when a man graduates. He was a teacher, and he passed me the apple, and then I got to take and teach somebody else.
Let me talk to the professor, because the professor had a bad night here tonight.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thank Don King Productions and Don King himself for allowing me to fight for the world title. He worked very hard and diligently to get it. I'm sorry that I let him down. I also thank Carl King, because he was very instrumental in getting me this title shot. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have got it, and I just want to thank both of them very much. Bernard, you know, I underestimated him. I thought I didn't learn enough, but tonight he proved he did. The weight just really got to me. I was too low. I've been fighting like 165 lately, you know. But I make no excuse. Young, strong young man. He proved tonight that he's a better man, and I can't take it.
You agree with the stoppage because it really did look like it was stopped right?
You know, fighters are never going to agree to that. But the referee made the decision, and I respect that, and nothing I can do about it. Once again, I think DK and CK and everybody else, and Bernard, hey, you are the better middleweight, and I have to take my hand off to you, and God bless you and go for the best. I want to thank everybody that, hey, if you believe in the Lord and you love yourself, then anything possible in the world can happen. DK proved it, CK proved it, and my cornerman, I want to thank everybody. I let you down, but hey, I may be down in the boxing game, I'm not out in life. Thank you very much.
Well, that's a good show of sportsmanship. That's what we like to see in boxing.
One thing about John, I'm a little envy of him because he got a modeling career. I don't look that good.
Right. Well, the way he punches, he'll need a model career. He's going to fight.
All right, that's very nice.
Stop it! Long whack ball. Stop it! Long whack.